everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I'm a part-time reseller on POSHMARK, and today I'm going to talk to you about different things that I've done recently to help improve my sales on POSHMARK. These are things that, are very important, and I've started to notice an uptick in sales since I've started doing these things, so I really recommend doing these if you're not already. But let's get right into it so we can discuss what are going to really help you pull in sales, because I'll tell you, this year has been a very, very slow year, but this is one thing that's really helping me pull in more sales. Okay, so the first thing that I talk about a lot of the times is to list new inventory. So it's so important to be doing this, not only because that's adding more pieces for people to choose from, but also because it's getting new, fresh pieces out there, and it's bringing more people into your closet. Maybe you're pulling in a new size or a new style or something like that. And Poshmark has told us that new listings, new fresh listings, really increase your sales and increase the likelihood of you making a sale. So it's so important to be doing that for that reason, but also it's just good because maybe you have, buyers that have bought from you in the past that may want to purchase from you again, and if you're not bringing anything new in, they don't have a reason to come back to you. So it's just so beneficial to make sure that you're pulling in new items, but make sure when you're pulling in those new items that you're listing items that people really want. Make sure you're pulling in trendy styles. Make sure you're pulling in pieces that, people can't find elsewhere. Really make sure that you're doing your due diligence to make sure that the pieces that you're bringing into your closet are worth it. You don't want to just fill your closet with a bunch of random listings that no one's going to want to purchase. That's not going to help people want to shop from your closet. Make sure your listings are good, and make sure that you list every single day. It is so crucial to do that, and I'm not even kidding when I say that it's so important to do, and if you skip days, you're going to see slow sales. So make sure you're listing it every single day. Make sure you're listing a consistent amount every single day, and be true to yourself and be honest. If you're not doing that, make a change, and just that alone you'll see a dramatic increase in your sales. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to recommend, and I again have recommended this in the past, but I'm adding a little bit to it, is making sure that you're relisting your inventory. So this is so important. People don't really understand why it's important, but those listings that are sitting in your Poshmark closet for a long time, they're not really getting new attention. They're not being searched, they're not, showing up. So it's important that after they become stale, after 60 days, you relist them. And so a lot of people are like, well, if I just copy the listing, at any point, does that count as relisting it? And well, that is how you relist, but that doesn't count. It has to be after 60 days. And I've seen a lot of people who, when they go to relist and they use that copy listing button, they'll keep the word copy in the title, which is a huge red flag, and that actually prevents your listing from really selling. And honestly, all that's doing is telling the buyer that you've had this listing for a long time and it didn't sell, so you copied it and made a duplicate. So I don't recommend leaving the word copy in the title. And I also recommend, when you are doing a copy of your listing, maybe change up the title. Make sure that there's no typos, or make sure the description is accurate. Make sure you have those keywords, and make sure that the pictures look good. That is the perfect time. It's a brand new listing, to make sure that the listing looks really good, and that will ensure that it really helps you generate more sales. The next thing that is so important to make sure that you're doing is make sure you're using keywords that people are actually going to be looking for. So a good example of this is pickleball and things like that, like tennis and those kind of things are really popular this year. Like, there's been a huge surge in pickleball players and things like that. So people are looking for outfits to wear to play pickleball. So if you have like an athletic outfit or a top or pants or whatever, make sure you tag in the style tags or in the description or even in the title, pickleball or things like that. So when people are searching for things to wear, your item will come up. And that goes for anything. Make sure that you're descriptive and describe the item. I've seen a lot of people who post vintage items, but they don't really know how to market them properly. So maybe you don't know the specific era that the item was from, but it's important to kind of make sure that you're saying this is a vintage item. Or if you do know the era, make sure you say like vintage 90s or, different ththings like that. Like, I actually saw a listing for Lisa Frank pants. Now, those are vintage, those are 90s. I grew up in that time frame, and those were like that. Lisa Frank was very, very popular. But if you're not marketing it that way, maybe someone doesn't know, or maybe they're typing into the search vintage 90s Lisa Frank, and your item's not going to come up. So keywords are so important. Make sure you're paying attention to those keywords and those trendy items. Also, a lot of people are looking for like vacation outfits or summer outfits or bikinis or summer dresses or floral, like different things like that. So make sure that every time you go to list something, you're really thinking about the keywords to use and ensuring that you're making sure your listings are going to show up in somebody else's feed. And the final tip I'm going to recommend to ensure more sales is sharing your closet throughout the day. Do not just share once, do not just share twice. Make sure you're sharing multitude of times throughout the day. You have up to 10,000 shares a day, which to some people, if you don't have a VA, that sounds like a lot of shares. But if you have a VA and if you have a lot of listings in your closet, you could really get there quickly. I think for me, I have about 700 active listings, which means I could probably share my closet about 7 times throughout the day before Poshmark will start flagging me. It's important to really make sure you're sharing as much as you possibly can. I typically try and share once an hour, but if I tend to see if I space it out, you don't get flagged as much. But make sure that you're active, make sure you're sharing your listings. That will go such a long way, and it's such a small thing. Especially if you have a VA, this will be easy to do. You don't have to think about it all day. And I recommend if you haven't already gotten a VA to get one because it'll really take the dirty work out for you and you don't have to worry about it. And if you don't have a VA, you could still do the manual sharing, but just make sure you're doing that like once an hour or a little bit more frequently if you can. And that will help you bring in consistent sales because your items are going to be constantly shown to more people. So the biggest thing to take away from this video is making sure that you're actually doing these things, because I feel like a lot of us are just like, yeah, I'm doing that, yeah, I'm listing, yeah, I'm sharing, yeah, I'm relisting, but they're not actually paying attention to the specifics. So for example, they might be relisting, but they're not paying attention to make sure that it's after 60 days. So therefore their relist doesn't really count. Or yeah, they're, listing new inventory, but they're not listing good pieces. Or maybe they're just saying, well, I'm relisting, so that counts as new inventory, but that's not how that works. So make sure you're being realistic with yourself and make sure that you are paying attention to these things, because at the end of the day, you are the one that's running your Poshmark closet, and you are mostly in control of the things that you can change, which is listing, relisting, sharing, and that kind of thing. All the other things are out of your control, so it's important to focus on what you can change and make those changes and make sure that you're doing it. Again, can't stress enough how important those are, but when you are really consistent and when you are really on top of things, your sales will start coming in and you'll just keep getting sales because the algorithm will work in your favor. Hopefully this video is helpful for you, and I know a lot of these things are going to be really important to kind of take in to the second quarter and also into the summer months, because again, things tend to slow down in the summer months. So hopefully if you continue to do these things, you will avoid the summer slowdown as much as possible. If you want to see another video on features that you should be using on Poshmark, you can click right here. And if you want to see a video on why I only sell on Poshmark and what I think about the new Mercari 0% fees for sellers, you can click right here. But until next time, I will see you then.